Kevin McAllister grows up to be John Kramer, sure, I can get with that theory. Actually making a movie around that premise, I don't know if I can get on board with that one. And that's basically what we got with this Saw runoff 2009 horror movie. This one's arguably a lot meaner than Saw, and for reasons that I'll talk about in the full video, I just couldn't get with this one. It's day 64 of 365. Today's movie, The Collector. This one's directed by Mark Dunstan and stars Josh Stewart as a small-time house thief in a situation that is just unbelievable enough to be kind of silly for how absolutely horrifying it is. Now, I'm a self-admitted fan of the first three Saw movies. Torture porn's not a genre that I'm opposed to at all, but when it's self-inflicted, it makes a lot more sense than when you have an actual torturer on display in your movie. Now, you can do that, but you gotta give this guy some character, and that's what The Collector's missing. For God's sakes, they torture and kill a cat in the movie. I think that speaks to the overall immaturity of what they're going for here. And if you look at the plot for more than a minute, it really starts to fall apart. For instance, how did the Collector have all the time to set up these traps if Arkin was just there earlier that day? This is the kind of thing where you start to see that the killer was introduced for the sequences and not the other way around. One has to inform the other correctly for this to really work as a thing. I shine because it's cool. It's never really given an in-universe explanation. He doesn't get a backstory, and it never even takes the mask off to even unveil what this monster is. Instead, we're just expected to get on board with this guy that sets traps and kills people with throwing knives about half the time too, so he's almost more a knife-throwing killer than a booby trap killer. Either way, I don't want to yuck anybody's yum here, so let's instead get into the three things that I really dug about this movie. The first thing I really love about this movie is the reason to show up for one of these, right? It's the traps. These are admittedly cool, inventive, and very unique for the genre. I haven't seen a lot of these redone. Many of them end up being kind of one-offs within the genre, and I think that's cool if you're able to show up and bring something unique. You can tell that their goal here was these sequences, and so that's what they poured the most into. If I had to pick a favorite, it's probably the projector wall spikes. My reasoning for that is because I feel like it kind of works as a meta joke. Within the movie, this comes right after a kind of gratuitous nudity scene, and this is them playing with the horror tropes, slamming our victim against the projector wall as if the audience is also pinned up to the screen, seeing all this crazy stuff. That works for me. That's a really inventive sequence, and so I want to give them their kudos for that one. My second favorite thing in this movie are the gore effects. Again, the reason that we're showing up to a torture porn movie is to see the gore on full display. I actually cut my teeth as a feature film director in the gore world, and so this is something that I know was bringing them glee on set. The lighting crew that I worked with was so invested in seeing these practical effects play out on the day that I guarantee you, when they showed up every single day to work, they were just having a ton of fucking fun. This is a playground of viscera, if you will. And you can see that gleefulness on screen in some of the really amazing makeup effects, some of the fantastic cadaver effects. The one that pops into mind for me always is getting the fish hook in the eyelid. Oh, it's such a tough one for the actor to go through that day, but it looks so good and it looks so real that you can tell they were proud of their work by the end of the day. Josh, you're a real one for working through that day. I will tell you that right now. And my third and final one for you is the finale. I love a horror movie with a horrifying finale. Not a jump scare that tricks you into thinking that everything is going to be okay and then switches things up. I mean one where they actually commit to the bit and give you a really lasting final minute of the horror of what is happening. We almost get that with him being pulled into the EMT truck and we think he's being saved, but because the movie's still running, we know there's something else left to happen. They're not just gonna let the Collector get away at the end of all this. The last time we saw him wasn't impactful enough. And so I love that the movie then doubles down and says, no, this is a horror movie with a horrifying ending. We're stuffing our main character into a box as you exit the theater. At least they had the balls to commit to it. I think the Saw movies are another one that the horror is a little more existential by the end, especially when I think about Saw 3 and the decisions that are made in that finale. That's why I think that one works as the cap end to a perfect trilogy and they didn't need to go any further. That's just an outside opinion. But I really love that this movie doubles down on its premise and says, hey, we've been trashy, we've been campy, we've been silly, we've been gory, and now we're gonna commit to the horror, and you're gonna see something that you don't wanna see. As a teenager, this absolutely knocked my knees out from under me. I really thought that this guy was gonna get away because he's so heartfelt. He's a thief with a heart of gold. That's a great trope to play with, but to see him become the thing that is stolen is cinematically satisfying. I really love that. But what do you think? Was I too harsh on the collector, or were my highlights worth the time if you go to check this one out again? We're gonna switch gears from horror into action. Our next 2 movies are sci-fi thrillers, the first one being G.I. Joe: Rise of the Cobra, and I'll see you tomorrow.